My wife cheated on me with my best friend, then sued me for $250, $0 in our divorce, claiming I embezzled from our joint account, despite the fact that she funneled $100, $0 into her secret offshore account, and now I'm losing everything over her lies. I never thought I'd be sitting here telling a story like this, but life has a cruel way of throwing you into situations you'd never expect. It all started with a quiet suspicion, a gut feeling that something was off with Emily. She's my wife, beautiful, confident, and always a little bitchy when she doesn't get her way. We'd been together for over 10 years, married for 5, and I thought I knew her inside out. But then the little signs started piling up. She was secretive about her phone, always turning away when I tried to look at it. She'd get defensive if I asked where she was after work, and her excuses kept changing. It all came to a head one evening when I decided to check our joint bank account. I mean, I'd always trusted her, but lately I'd noticed some odd charges, things I didn't recognize, purchases from places I'd never heard of. I sat down at the computer, feeling a knot tighten in my stomach. As I scrolled through the online statement, my heart practically stopped. There, hidden in the details, was a transfer of $100, $0 to an offshore account. I knew she had a secret account somewhere, but seeing the actual transfer was like a punch to the gut. That's when I realized Emily wasn't just hiding her phone or lying about where she was going. She was actively funneling money out of our joint account into some secret world. I decided to dig deeper. I hired a private investigator just to see if my suspicions about her being unfaithful were right. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence kept piling up. The pie caught her in the act. She was sneaking out late at night, meeting someone in a hotel downtown. When I confronted her with everything, she denied everything at first, said I was paranoid, that I was imagining things. But then she got defensive, started calling me crazy, and accused me of snooping because I didn't trust her. That's when I knew for sure. Emily was cheating on me, and she'd been lying about everything for months. The betrayal hit me hard. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I was furious but also hurt. How could she do this after all we'd been through? We had a life, a house, a future planned, and she was out there screwing someone else and stealing from us. I was angry at her, but I was also angry at myself for not seeing it sooner. How blind could I have been? I trusted her completely, and she turned around and stabbed me in the back. I wanted to confront her again to get answers, but I knew the truth was out now. She was cheating, and she'd been lying about everything. The worst part was I didn't even know how deep this betrayal went. I kept asking myself, how could she lie so easily, so convincingly? And what was I supposed to do now? After I uncovered the truth, everything changed in an instant. The house felt colder, quieter, like the walls were closing in on me. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. My mind kept replaying every moment, every sign I ignored or dismissed. Emily, my wife, she was supposed to be my partner, my best friend. Instead, she was out there, with some guy she barely knew, sneaking around behind my back and lining her pockets with my money. The betrayal ran so deep it felt like my chest was caving in. I decided I needed to confront her face to face. Not just to hear her lie again, but to see if she'd actually admit to it. I waited until she came home from work that evening, trying to keep my cool. When she walked through the door, I could see the flicker of guilt in her eyes, but she immediately put on that icy bitchy mask she always used when she was trying to manipulate a situation. I told her I knew everything: the affair, the offshore account, the money. Her eyes widened for a split second, then she rolled her eyes and started with her usual bullshit. "Oh, you're overreacting, John. You always jump to conclusions. You think I'm cheating, but I'm not. Maybe I've been stressed with work, or maybe you're just paranoid because you're insecure. Honestly, I don't have time for your accusations right now." Her voice was sharp and dismissive, like I was bothering her with my drama. She even had the nerve to say she was under a lot of pressure and that I should trust her, but I didn't trust her anymore, not after what I'd seen. I pressed her further, asking why she was funneling money into some offshore account. She shrugged it off, claiming it was just a business investment and that I was crazy for thinking she'd cheat. She was good at lying, I'll give her that. She accused me of spying on her because I didn't trust her, and then she started crying, fake tears, I figured. It was her way of trying to manipulate me to make me feel guilty for catching her, but I wasn't falling for it. I knew the truth. And the truth was, Emily had been screwing around with my best friend, Mark. The shock of that hit me like a freight train. Mark was supposed to be my closest friend. We'd been through everything together, business ventures, barbecues, holidays. And now I found out he was sleeping with my wife. I felt betrayed on a whole new level. I couldn't believe the two people I trusted most in this world, the woman I married and my best friend, were capable of this. It was like my entire life was crumbling around me. The anger boiled inside me, but so did a terrible sense of loss. I had spent years building a life with Emily, and now I was realizing it was all a lie. That night I sat alone in the dark, feeling numb. The pain was overwhelming. I kept thinking about how she lied constantly, how she manipulated everyone around her. Her "I'm innocent" act was so transparent now. She was a master at spinning stories, making herself the victim. But I saw through it. I knew her game. I knew she'd been lying to me for months, maybe longer. The money she stole, the affair she hid, this was her way of punishing me for something I didn't even do. And Mark, my best friend, he was just as guilty for betraying our friendship and screwing my wife behind my back. I started thinking about what I could do next. I knew I couldn't stay in this marriage, not after finding out the truth. But I also knew I had to fight back, to reclaim what was mine, my money, my dignity, my life. That's when the idea of revenge started to take shape. I wasn't just going to let her get away with this. No, I was going to make her pay. It was time she learned what it felt like to be betrayed, to be lied to, and to lose everything she cared about, just like she took everything from me. I didn't have all the answers yet, but I knew one thing. Emily was not going to walk all over me, not anymore. The more I thought about it, the clearer my plan became. I couldn't just confront her, yell, cry, and then hope things would magically fix themselves. That wasn't who I was. No, I needed to be strategic. I needed to hit her where it hurt, her pride, her lies, and her bank account. I started digging into her offshore account, hiring a forensic accountant to trace every dollar she'd funneled away. The more I looked, the angrier I got. That $100, $0 wasn't just some investment. She'd used it to fund her escape, her lifestyle with Mark. And now she was trying to deny everything, acting like I was the crazy one. I also decided I'd get a lawyer. I needed to protect what was mine, especially since Emily had already started spinning her lies to the divorce court, claiming I'd embezzled from our joint account. That was her way of poisoning the well, trying to make herself look like the victim while she took everything I had. I knew she'd lie, cheat, manipulate, whatever it took to win, no matter how much damage she caused. So I gathered all the evidence I could: bank statements, text messages, emails, even her secret phone logs. I wanted the truth to come out, and I wanted her to pay for what she did. Meanwhile, Emily was busy putting on her act. She'd call me paranoid or crazy, accuse me of trying to ruin her life, and say she never cheated. But I could see through her lies now. She was a master at deception, but her mask was cracking. The more I uncovered, the more her entire story fell apart. And she knew it. That's why she started throwing accusations my way, trying to turn the tables, make me look like the bad guy. But I wasn't falling for her games anymore. I'd already lost so much: my trust, my peace, my sense of security, but I still had my dignity, and I was determined to get it back. One night I finally confronted her again, this time armed with everything I'd uncovered. I told her I knew about her affair with Mark, about the offshore account, about the money she'd stolen. Her face went pale, but her mouth still moved into that fake, bitchy smirk. She denied everything, of course, claiming I was stalking her, that I was jealous, that I was just trying to ruin her reputation. She said she loved me, that it was all a mistake, that Mark was just a fling, and that I was overreacting. But I knew better. I knew she'd been lying all along. I told her she had two choices: come clean or face the consequences, and I was prepared for whatever came next. The emotional toll was heavy. I felt rage, betrayal, heartbreak all at once. I wasn't just angry at Emily, though I was furious, but I also felt an overwhelming sense of loss. The woman I married, the life I thought we had, was just a lie. She manipulated me, lied to my face, and used me for her own selfish gain. The worst part was realizing I'd been blind. I had trusted her completely, and she'd been screwing around behind my back for months, maybe longer. I felt stupid, used, and broken. But at the same time, I knew I couldn't let her win. I had to stand up, fight for what was rightfully mine, and make sure she paid for her lies. That night, I made a decision. I was done playing nice. I was going to file for divorce, expose her secrets in court, and take back my life. I wasn't going to let her walk away with everything: my money, my reputation, my dignity. She wanted to keep lying and manipulating, but I'd be the one to hold the truth now. I was done being the victim. I was ready to fight, to take back what she tried to steal from me. And part of me knew this was just the beginning of something much darker, something I had to see through to the end. By the time I had all my evidence gathered, I felt a strange mix of relief and rage. I knew I was onto something big, and I was finally ready to take control of the situation. I met with my lawyer the next day, laying out everything I'd found: the offshore account, the texts, the emails, the bank statements. I wanted her to see I wasn't just some naive husband caught off guard. I was prepared. I told my lawyer I wanted full custody of the kids, the house, and I was going to fight her for every penny she'd tried to steal. I was done playing nice, done pretending I trusted her anymore. Emily, of course, caught wind of what I was doing. She started panicking, throwing tantrums, trying to manipulate the situation. She called me crazy, accused me of invading her privacy, and claimed I was just jealous of Mark. But I knew her tricks now. I knew her game. I wasn't going to fall for it. I kept my focus on the evidence, knowing that the truth would come out in court. I also started secretly recording her conversations, just in case she made any false accusations or tried to spin her lies even further. I wasn't going to let her manipulate her way out of this one. The most shocking part was when she finally admitted, in a heated argument, that she'd been sleeping with Mark for months. She didn't deny it anymore, just brushed it off like it was no big deal. "It's just sex," she sneered. "You're overreacting." But to me, it was everything. It was the final nail in the coffin. The woman I loved, the woman I married, was out there lying, cheating, and stealing from us. And Mark, my supposed best friend, was right in the middle of it. The betrayal cut so deep I felt like I was bleeding inside. I started planning my next moves. I knew I had to play this carefully. Emily was scheming, trying to spin her own version of events to the court, but I had all the proof I needed. I also hired a private investigator to follow Mark, to see if he was still involved or if he was trying to cover his tracks. The more I uncovered, the more I realized that Emily wasn't just cheating or stealing. She was orchestrating a full-blown betrayal, and I was the target. I knew I had to be strategic if I wanted to come out of this with any shred of dignity intact. Meanwhile, Emily's behavior grew more erratic. She was trying to manipulate the divorce process, making false accusations, claiming I'd embezzled money myself, trying to turn the judge against me, but I had everything documented. I kept my cool, stayed focused, and let my lawyer handle the court proceedings. Every day I felt the weight of her lies pressing down on me, but I also felt a sense of clarity. I was finally taking control. I was fighting back against the woman who had betrayed me, who had lied, cheated, and stolen from me for her own selfish ends. And I wasn't going to stop until she paid for what she did. This process was brutal. The legal battles, the emotional toll, knowing that my best friend was in on it all, that's what hurt the most. But I also knew I had to stay strong for myself and for my kids. I couldn't let her win by tearing me down. I had to be the one to rebuild, to reclaim what was mine, and to make sure she understood that betrayal had consequences. I was already planning my next steps, knowing full well that this wasn't just about money or revenge. It was about justice. And I was determined to see it through. The court dates came faster than I expected. And honestly, I was a mess inside. I'd spent weeks preparing my case, gathering every shred of proof I had: bank statements, emails, recordings, everything. I knew Emily would do whatever she could to spin her lies, but I was ready. My lawyer warned me she'd try to claim I was unstable, that I'd been controlling or paranoid. But I had the evidence, and I knew I could prove her wrong. Still, seeing her in that courtroom, so confident and bitchy, almost made me lose my nerve. Almost. During the proceedings, Emily sat there and lied through her teeth. She claimed I'd been embezzling, that I'd been violent, controlling. I don't know what she was trying to pull. She even brought up stuff about my business, trying to paint me as a fraud. But I had the numbers, the proof, and the witnesses. When my lawyer presented the bank statements and the offshore account info, Emily's face went pale. She tried to deny it, but the judge wasn't having it. The evidence was too clear. I saw her eyes flicker with panic, and for a second, I wondered if she was realizing that her house of lies was collapsing around her. The biggest shock was when I finally stood up and told the court about her affair with Mark. I laid out the texts, the secret meetings, everything. That's when Emily's bitchy mask cracked for real. She tried to deny it again, but her voice was trembling. The judge looked directly at her and asked if she had anything to say. She just sat there, silent for a moment, then muttered something about misunderstandings and bad choices. But the damage was done. Everyone in that room knew the truth. She had been unfaithful, dishonest, and manipulative. As the hearing went on, I felt a strange mix of relief and rage. For years, I'd been the good guy, working hard, trusting her, trying to keep everything together. And now I realized I'd been played. She used me, betrayed me, and stolen from us. The judge awarded me full custody of the kids, the house, and ordered her to pay back the money she'd embezzled, plus damages. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about justice. She had tried to ruin me, and now she was the one facing the consequences. The aftermath was a whirlwind. Emily was furious and tried every trick in the book to get her way, but the court was firm. She was ordered to leave the house, and I moved out with the kids. My trust was shattered, but I felt a strange sense of closure. I knew I'd done everything I could to expose her lies, to protect myself, and to get my life back. The betrayal had cut deep, but I was healing. Slowly, I was rebuilding. I realized that revenge wasn't just about hurting her. It was about reclaiming my dignity and making her see that she couldn't get away with lying, cheating, and stealing without consequences. Looking back, I see how this experience changed me. I learned not to trust blindly, to pay attention to the signs, and to stand up for myself even when it's hard. I also learned that some people, no matter how charming or bitchy they seem, are capable of the worst betrayals. But I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I survived her lies, her manipulations, her betrayal, and I got my life back piece by piece. If there's one thing I'd tell anyone in a similar situation, it's this. Don't ignore the signs, gather your evidence, and fight for what's yours. Because at the end of the day, nobody is going to do it for you, not your wife, not your best friend. Only you can take back your life. Now looking back, I realize how much I've been through and how it's changed me. I used to trust blindly, believing in the best of people, but that's not always how life works. Emily's betrayal tore through me like a wrecking ball. Her lies, her affair with Mark, the money she stole, all of it shattered my sense of security. But somehow I found a way to pick up the pieces. I learned that being betrayed doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're human. And surviving it means you have to be stronger than you ever thought possible. The legal battle was brutal, but it was worth it. Seeing her face the consequences, knowing I had exposed her for what she was, lying, manipulative, selfish, felt like a weight lifting. I won the case, got custody of the kids, and watched her walk away defeated. The house is now quiet, the days longer, but I feel a sense of relief I hadn't felt in years. I finally see clearly now what I should have seen all along. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend, and some people will lie, cheat, and steal to get what they want. I've come to understand that revenge isn't just about hurting her. It's about reclaiming my life, my dignity, and my peace of mind. I don't hate her anymore. At least, not like I used to. Instead, I feel pity for her, for how she chose to live her life in lies and deception. I've learned to forgive myself for trusting her, for believing in a fairy tale that was never real. Now I focus on moving forward, rebuilding what I lost, and making sure my kids see that even after the deepest betrayals, you can come out the other side stronger. If there's anything I want others to take away from this, it's this. Don't ignore the signs. When something feels wrong, don't brush it off or make excuses. Trust your instincts, gather evidence, and don't be afraid to fight for your life. Betrayal cuts deep, but it doesn't have to define you. You have the power to rebuild, to start over, and to find happiness again, even if it feels impossible at first. Life will throw you curveballs, but you're the only one who can decide how to handle them. I've learned that the hard way, and I hope my story can serve as a reminder. Sometimes, the only way out is through, and the only way forward is to stand tall and face the truth, no matter how ugly it might be.